Welcome back. You're watching Business 360. Now, Telangana is playing host to the BioAsia Summit for the year. The state government has set a target of $250 billion by 2030 to boost the life sciences ecosystem in the state. Shireen Bhan caught up with Rama Rao, Industries Minister of Telangana, and began by asking him about the importance of the BioAsia Summit and how this could put Indian pharma companies on the global map.
Hyderabad, Telangana and the life sciences story here is something that the world has not really discovered, is what I would like to believe, because the strengths of the life sciences industry here in Telangana is something truly astounding. We produce 1/3 of global vaccines from Telangana, global vaccines, right? We have the largest number of US FDA approved manufacturing facility for a single province in the world, 214. The second largest is in New Jersey. We are home also to Asia's largest stent manufacturing facility, and our life sciences ecosystem is currently valued at almost $80 billion. Now, our ambition is to make it triple the size of it by 2030. $250 billion ecosystem is what we're trying to build by combining and, of course, consolidating our strengths and combining newer elements, moving up the value chain, focusing on innovation, bringing in the cutting-edge intersection point of technology and biology. There are some amazing stories that are coming out of Hyderabad, especially in this place, in this sector, which I think are possibly, which can be benchmarked as the best in the world. Novartis, for instance, does digital drug discovery from Hyderabad with about 9,000 people. This is their second largest center in the world outside of Basel. Yesterday, in fact, BMS, because you asked about investments, Bristol Myers Squibb has announced a center in Hyderabad with $100 million investment. Today we are making a few more and look forward to many more in days to come to reach that $250 billion ecosystem.
By 2030, that is the target that you've set for yourself. But, you talked about Novartis, and in a conversation with the Global CEO of Novartis, Vas Narasimhan, he believes that India is at an inflection point and it must make the transition from a generics hub now to an innovative player. And you just talked about being able to play in that intersection. What is the role that the government can play to facilitate or enable that transition?
When you talk to any large pharma major, they'll tell you that they're worried about IP. They're worried about the regulatory data framework that needs to be in place to protect, any original innovation happening from India, without being copied or without being completely, without all their efforts being kind of transgressed. So that's the first big concern that I've heard over and over when I speak to them. The second thing, of course, is we need to also understand as governments that we have to stop obsessing, and we have called ourselves the pharmacy of the world long enough. I think now you realize that volume is not what matters, but value is what really matters. So as you move up that value chain, you need to incentivize. And I've made this case to Piyush Goyal, I've made this case to government in Delhi, but unfortunately they've taken out all the incentives that there are with respect to research and development for any pharma company or biotech company in India. That needs to be put back in place, and governments can actually act as enablers. And more importantly, as we all know, research is the bedrock of innovation. So if you really want innovative products, Shireen, it's unfortunate that in the last several decades, not a single original molecule has come from India, which is really, really sad. So unless you focus on innovation, starting from college level, starting from university level, and start building it into your overall program, I don't think you'll see many original innovative products coming up in this sector in India. We have done enough of quantity. Now is the time to focus on quality.
You talked about the move from volume to value. You also talked about R&D incentives, and yes, this has been a long-standing demand of industry. But what can you at the state level do to encourage more R&D, to also encourage something else that you just spoke about, fostering a deeper, more robust partnership between academia and industry?
We're doing two things in Telangana. First thing we're doing is, in fact, this whole focus on innovation. So we are building what is called as a B-Hub, a biopharma hub, where we are going to encourage a lot of youngsters. In fact, even in BioAsia,
this B-Hub,
B-Hub, and we are also launching a Y-Hub.
What is a Y-Hub?
With UNICEF, in fact, we are focused on kids and youngsters, and we want to catch them young. So UNICEF and Government of Telangana have partnered. We announced it today. Now, B-Hub, which is the biopharma hub, my focus is, in fact, even in BioAsia this year, we have conducted an innovative challenge wherein 400 plus startups have come in. A jury is here, and they have shortlisted 75, out of which, again, 5 startups are going to be pitching at the valedictory session tomorrow.
Okay.
And I wish you could attend it and possibly capture it as well. But the point is, the more focus we bring on innovative, young minds that we have in India, I think the more chances that you will actually be able to crack this value piece. Now, what can you do as a government? Be an enabler by providing infrastructure. Be an enabler in terms of policy, and most importantly, by way of providing funding support. Now, the venture capital arm of Novartis, this morning I was talking to Vas, so I was making a pitch to him saying, I think you need to bring in, Fiona is the lady who runs it. I said, you have to bring her in, you have to actually start showcasing the opportunities that exist among the youngsters, young companies here. He was very kicked. So as long as we are able to get that deal flow happen, as long as we are able to give them the comfort that IP they would create would be safe, and most importantly, as long as you create these young minds to start innovating, as long as you encourage them to start innovating, I think we'll be in good stead.
Let me move away from the R&D piece to talk about the manufacturing piece as well. You talked about investments that are coming in on the R&D side, and I think that is a story that is continuing to be amplified, and there is momentum building there. But what about the manufacturing side? Are there any new investments, any incremental investments that you are expecting to close?
In fact, we are almost on the verge of launching the world's single largest pharma cluster called as Hyderabad Pharma City. Now, it was caught up in some court cases with respect to land acquisition. Now, the final hearing is done. Hopefully, I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, hoping that it will be in our favor. Assuming it's done, I already have a list of investors who are wanting to invest the total ecosystem value would be $8 billion.
Okay.
And this, in 14,000 acres, this would be the world's single largest pharma cluster, 28 kilometers south of Hyderabad airport in a place called Mucherla. I have more demand than I have supply today, unfortunately. This is completely focused on manufacturing. We're also going to embed a life sciences university as part of this.
Okay.
We've already entered into a memorandum of understanding with King's College. We also had a very interesting discussion with Flanders region from Belgium. They have an institute called VIB. We're also in discussions with a couple of other institutes in the US. So this multilateral engagement with research, with academic partnerships, is what is going to create that constant flow of manpower and think force that will, again, continue to keep your pot boiling.
But by when do you expect all of this to be operationalized?
We, in fact, want the Life Sciences University to be up and running by next academic year. So we'll start probably in a makeshift campus and then eventually shift to the pharma city as and when it gets up and running.
One of the aspects that I think deserves attention and focus at this point in time, and I want to understand what the state is doing in terms of regulation and strengthening the state regulator to ensure that as we move from volume to value, there is eye on the ball as far as quality is concerned. And there have been instances in the recent past which have led to a crisis of confidence. What is being done on that front to ensure that quality is not compromised?
Well, I think we have to understand that in today's world, especially where each and every one of the manufacturers here is actually working with some large global majors, I don't think quality is that big a concern anymore, because now they're being benchmarked against global standards. I mean, like I was mentioning, FDA is here, the regional offices here, FDA has more than 200 plus units here. So when you have to compete, you have to get global business, you have no choice but to actually elevate your game in terms of quality. So while, of course, the industry is kind of in a self-regulation mode, I think as government, as a government as well, we are doing everything in our capacity. Like I said, the whole $250 billion piece, which looks like a moonshot opportunity now, if it has to be realized, the focus has to be, like I said, on value, on quality, on skill, and ensuring that innovation also happens as part of it. So as government, of course, we enforce standards that are stipulated by Government of India, and simultaneously, again, the industry also is upping its ante in terms of elevating its game to the global standards.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC-TV18 for more news and updates.